Good morning, and thanks for tuning in. I do some of my best thinking and best talking to myself when I'm driving, so I figured I'd invite you to come along with me. I'm thinking this morning about the Charlie Kirk Memorial. I was there, and I'm thinking about some of the different types of people that were at the memorial. And I thought I'd chat with you a little bit about that for a minute. I would say by and large, the people who were at the memorial are people who were grieving, people who hate what happened, certainly. I think everybody that was there hated what happened. People who were solemn, who were there and their hearts were heavy. People who want to come out of it and make a difference. People probably a lot like you if you're listening to this right now. But there was a subset there, and I think this is probably going to be the same no matter what large crowd you're in, no matter what the purpose. But there was certainly a subset of people that were there, and as you talked with them, they just had a little bit different spirit about them. There wasn't the heaviness. There wasn't the emotional connection to Charlie Kirk and what he stood for, nearly to the same extent. I would say it felt more like they were there because this was the biggest thing in town. This was the big exciting thing. I want to be a part of it. And that's good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes some of the people that you're talking to around you, and you get the sense that they're going to a Super Bowl game. You know, they're going to some big exciting event like that, and they're just, this is so cool, we get to be there and a part of it. And it clashed, the contrast of our purpose for being there and their mindset clashed sharply. And I'm still glad that they were there. I know that they would not have likely waited for hours and hours and hours to get in if, at least for the most part, if it was solely because we think it's exciting to be inside there, the way we think it's exciting to be inside the stadium during the Super Bowl. But it seemed like their primary motive was different than mine somehow. And I just want to talk a minute about that. If we cannot approach the Charlie Kirk Memorial, we cannot approach the revival that we're seeing come out of it as an audience. We must not approach it as though we are an audience going to a Super Bowl game. We're the players on the field. We're the participants. The game dies without you and without me. And I want us to have that attitude as we go forward. So that's my word on that. I also want to give a shout out to a liberal friend of mine who I have a lot of respect for. He's, as a businessman, as a family man, as a human being, as an American. He fought in Vietnam, he's defended our country, and he is very liberal. I doubt there's much of anything politically that he and I agree on. But I respect him, and I think he respects me. And I just wanted to give a shout out to him. You know who you are. Because he sent me a text. I don't know, maybe he saw my talking heads or something, but he sent me a text with a New York Times article, opinion article about conservatives. When it's a New York Times opinion article about conservatives, I'm skeptical going into it, and I told him that. But I thanked him very much for the article, and I actually have not taken the time to read it yet, but I promised him I would, and I will. And maybe I'll do monologue on what the article said and my thoughts on it. But he ended our string of text conversations. We kind of went back and forth a little bit. I would say playful to semi-serious level of debate for a few texts back and forth. And we actually found one or two things that we agreed on. But the thing that I most appreciated, he ended his text, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he ended his text with something like, Zach, if you and I are still talking, if we can keep talking, then we're winning. And boy, what a statement. And I appreciate it. I appreciate him. I'm glad that he sent me the article. I'm glad that we can disagree, because there's so many on the left that are just labeling those on the right, their fellow countrymen who also live and breathe and fight and die in this country, labeling their fellow countrymen as Nazis and as their leader is Adolf Hitler. And I did a video about this, what to do when your friend calls you a Nazi. I did that a couple days ago. You can look at it on my YouTube channel. But I just so appreciate dialogue. Come with your disagreements. You know, that's what Charlie Kirk encouraged all the time. He set his microphone down, symbolizing that I'm going to listen to you. And then he gave the other microphone to whoever wanted to talk. And if you disagreed with him, you got to come to the front of the line. And I love that about Charlie Kirk. I think a lot of us do. We love that he invited dialogue. And we can have dialogue. And that's where this country moves forward, is where ideas clash. We don't move forward where we dehumanize one another and label each other as the left likes to label us, as so many on the left, I should say, like to label us as Nazis and Hitlerites and fascists and blah, 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 blah. We've all heard it. And to a much lesser extent, but it still happens, the right will label the left as Stalinists, commies, and red faction type of derogatory terms. It's just so unhelpful. It's so unhelpful to dehumanize your opponent. Come to the table, sit across the table and lock eyes with somebody that you disagree with and have a conversation with them. See them as a human being. Listen. Don't just listen and then ask questions before you make your statements or counter arguments. Charlie Kirk was the best example at this, and I appreciate it so much about him. That's all for today. Blessings to you. Take care, and we'll see you next time.